A new cannabis store set to open in Wareham at the end of this month will mark a milestone a long time coming for the state. The first social equity applicant to be triple licensed to cultivate, manufacture, and sell marijuana and related products. In 2007, Jesse Pitts was arrested after 70 pounds of marijuana and $250,000 in cash were seized from a house he was renting. He spent 9 months in jail for possession with intent to distribute, followed by probation and 500 hours of community service. Well, now he's the co-founder and CEO of Trade Roots. It's a product of the state's social equity program, which was set up by the Cannabis Control Commission specifically to help people directly affected by the war on drugs and marijuana prohibition to get them in on the legalized industry. But since that program was unveiled in 2018, only 13 of the 350 businesses that have reached the commence operations phase fall into that social equity category, 3 of which, as I've said, have now gone to one man, Jesse Pitts, who joins me now. Jesse, congratulations. Good to have you here. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. In the beginning, did you face obstacles getting into the industry, the legal industry, because of your conviction?
Yeah, so really after college, and after my arrest that you stated, I had a college roommate reach out to me and he wanted to start a medical marijuana company. And at first I said, absolutely not. But after about 10 times of asking me, I jumped in and I said, let's try to figure this out. And it was a long process to be able to write the application and to get all the things together that the state wanted for that application. And after we were ready to apply and we were applying, it was an ongoing process. The state rewrote the regulations saying that if you have a cannabis record, you can no longer even be an employee for a medical marijuana company in Massachusetts. So that really was the first roadblock for me trying to get into the legal industry.
So the social equity program obviously made a difference, I'm assuming. What specifically about that helped get you from that point to owning 3 licenses?
So when the CCC first rolled out the adult use regulations, the first thing that I was looking at is, can I actually participate? And they took an about face here, and the state said that if you do have a cannabis record and you were affected by the war on drugs, then you were eligible for the social equity program. The original rollout of the program, you had to be a 51% owner of the company and maintain that throughout the existence of the company. And there were other little regulations that it included, that you had to hire a certain amount of social equity candidates onto your team, so on and so forth. So when we actually applied with Trade Roots for our 3 licenses, we applied as a general applicant. And the social equity program, what it does is it gives you kind of a leg up in that application processing of that. And it really is supposed to streamline that process for you. And we decided not to do that because in order to launch a company of this caliber, it takes a lot of fundraising. And in order to do that, I never pictured myself owning over 51% of it when it was all said and done. So we applied as a general applicant. We got our licenses. The CCC rewrote the social equity program saying you only had to be a 10% owner. So in the second cohort, I applied and we got accepted. And what it did is it offered a lot of information that I was not aware of that would help you throughout the application process. And unfortunately for me, a lot of this came after the fact. I had already been through a lot of the hurdles that they were teaching us. So it wasn't so much of a huge leg up for me, but it definitely was. It felt like some sort of validation and vindication that, what we were doing before, the moral compass was actually correct.
Do you think the social equity program, as it's currently constructed, going forward, will help Jesse Pitts in the future, people like you?
Yes, I mean, the CCC, when they first rolled it out, there was a lot to, the basic groundworks for it, and they had to start from scratch to write this program. So there was a lot of learning curve on their part as well. And they have changed some things. For instance, the 10% ownership, that was a big aspect of it. But they're also working through different parts of it where there is this pre-approval process for licenses. And that was one of the biggest hurdles early on, was you had to have a host community agreement in order to apply for a license with the state. But in order to get that host community agreement, you had to have possession of a building and have all these things in line. And it proved very challenging, not really having anything tangible to hold on to help raise funds while you're going through that process to obtain a building and to really get your feet under you. So it kept being the cart before the horse over and over.
When you were sitting in jail, if someone had said to you, X number of years forward, you're going to own 3 licenses to cultivate, manufacture, and sell legally marijuana, what would you have said to that person?
They're crazy.
I figured. So what's your advice today, Jesse, to someone who wants to go from street dealer to a legitimate seller? What's your advice to them about how to get from there to here as you've done?
The biggest thing is, take the leap of faith. And, to me, it was an all in or not proposition. You can't really be doing both. And, to take that leap and step out of that realm and into this one, it really takes a lot of courage, and you're navigating the unknown, and you just can't be afraid to fail. That's the biggest one.
When do you open?
Famous question. So we're hoping to be open, but it's all contingent upon one final inspection from the CCC, which is coming up on the 17th. If all goes well, then we'll have more of a definitive date. But I've been strongly urged not to give a date.
But in the relatively near future.
Yes, hopefully by the end of the month, if not early next month.
Well, congratulations on the whole thing, Jesse, both from the change in your life to the terrific opportunity it appears you have ahead. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.